Hey guys, so the customs extension is in the game and the map feels and plays completely different now. There are only 2 new buildings on the new area, but some of the existing warehouses were also opened and expanded, so there's a plenty of loot and getting rich opportunities on the new customs. In this guide I will go over all the loot spawn places I could find, but I only focus on the extension and factories on site of customs. If you guys will like this one, then I may do the second part, covering the loot on the rest of the map. Okay, so let's start. First, there is a sport bag next to the blue trash container. First new cache added on the map is next to the building in the tire. You can now enter this building and inside in this blue locker you can find tool spawns. Close on the cardboard on the floor there is also a fuel spawn. There is another fuel spawn in front of those 4 barrels. Close on the table you can find sometimes money. On the next table and the nightstand next to it there are plenty of weapon parts spawns. On the glass wall you can find items I call hideout spawns. That include stuff like silicon tubes, water filters, electric motors, fuel and light bulbs. There is also a toolbox here. On the map you can find now static machine gun nest. Just showing you this one so you will not get surprised by it. First one is on this under construction warehouse and it covers the bridge.
Fuck you, you fuck!
Since we are in this area, there is a hidden loot spot here. If you will stick to the right side of this bush, you will not hit the barbed wire and you can find ammo box and sport back there. Okay, so let's go back to the expansion area. There are some portable cabins here with some loose loot inside. In the first one you can find it on couch, chair and mattress. By the way, when I say loose loot, I mean it can spawn food, drinks, ammo and meds. There is nothing in the second cabin. In the third one you can find loose spawns on the chair and those industrial pellets. Next loose loot spawn is in portable toilet. Close by there is also a technical supply crate and more loose spawn on both sides of this red container lifting machine. Time for the first new building on the map, called Meth Lab or Crack House by community. But first outside in portable cabin you can find one jacket. Inside on table on the left there is loose loot spawn. In the room on the right there is a sport bag, on industrial pallets more loose loot spawns, money on the table and ammo in the blue locker. There is also one jacket here. More loose loot on the metal shelves. Then we have med case and close by on medical stand some med spawns. Make sure to also check on the ground. In the next room there is a jacket and a sport bag. In this big cabin and on the shelves you can find loose loot spawns. Then you can find weapon parts on this downed cabinet. There is also that scav and in front of the washing machine you can find some ammo. In the showers there are a few spawns for soap and toilet paper. Moving along, in the next room you can find next jacket and some food on the table. In the shelves of the big cabinet you can find valuable items and money in the nightstand. There is also sport bag in here. Now blocked room, again in the cabinet and next to it you can find valuable items. And if you prone you will be able to loot this dead body. The loot table is almost the same as sport bag in case you wonder if it's worth the hassle. Moving upstairs to the best loot place on the map right now. On the desk you can find money, close by there are 2 filing cabinets. Make also sure to check on top of them for some loose tape spawns. Almost all of the bookshelves can spawn folders with intelligence. Sometimes they can spawn also on the floor. On this shelf you can find printing paper very often. Again loose loot on the floor and household items on the shelf. Second big room on this floor is the actual drug lab. You can find medical spawns on the shelves and on the tables all over this place. There is an opening in the glass wall, so be careful not to get sniped from the next building. The best spawns I usually find on those shelves. There is one more room in this building. On those wooden boxes you can find loose loot and on the metal shelves more medical items. Time for the new second building called Stronghold. There are some static weapons there, it's also the place where you can find Reshala and his gang, but also regular scavs. In this green box you can find food and drinks and on the bench more loose loot spawns. More loose loot on the blue barrels and metal barrel close to the first sleeping place in this building. Check beds for ammo, meds and food. Table can spawn food, you can see sport bag and weapon crate there. More loose loot on the box and beds. Also between those 2 beds there is valuable item spawn. More loose loot on the barrel. Outside you can also find technical supply crate. Going back inside on this big spool and inside green boxes is ammo spawn. You guessed it, more loose loot spawns on those red bricks. I also have found fuel on this cement box. On those red bricks spawn weapon parts and there is a weapon crate close. Those stairs can be used to get into the basement or the second floor, but we will go there a little later. First, on this truck there is another weapon crate. On this table you can find stuff like helix and electric relay. On this one there are some food spawns. Now the second sleeping place. You can see 2 jackets. On the wooden shelves I have found stuff like electric relay, helix and LCD. Now some containers, medical supply crate and 2 weapon crates. Med case and medical spawns on the bed. On chair and near the bed you can find food and there is also one more weapon crate. Let's move on the second floor. Next to the sandbox is fuel spawn and on those green crates you can find ammo. This big box is technical supply crate and there is a toolbox close by. Big spool and wooden box can spawn weapon parts and on those 2 there is ammo spawn. There is also med case nearby. Next to the first machine gun you can find medical supply crate and on both sides of it, near sandbox, ammo spawns. There is another machine gun nearby, also facing Meth Lab area. There is also rations supply crate here and the big dorm slayer, the grenade launcher. If you will set it to 6, I think it's angle, you will spray on the 3rd floor and if you will set it to 4.5, you will hit the 1st floor. What is even more scary, scavs can also mount those weapons. Okay, let's move to the basement. First, on those red bricks you can find stuff like electric relay or helix. If you have factory exit key, then behind those doors there is ZB1013 extract. To use it you have to first turn on the power. I will show you where you can do that later in this video. Now we are going for the next new hidden stash. It's close to the sniper zone next to the tree. Those signs warn you about snipers, so don't follow those railway line or you will die. There are 2 bodies you can safely loot near the tracks. First one is here, second one near the bush. There is also another cache here, hidden in the bush. Okay, this is getting too long. I don't even know why I'm bother making all of this stuff.
Tired of this motherfucking shit!
Anyway, to explore a little more the expanded customs area, there is a blue car here that can spawn loose loot on its 4 seats. You can also jump over this broken fence to move into the old construction zone. Another opening is the middle of this under construction warehouse. Under this ramp is a 4th new cache, but more about it later. Now let's move to the old construction zone. You can now go onto the 2nd floor of this building. This is a great sniper spot, you can see most of the map from there, but that's not all, there is also some loot here. In front of those cardboard boxes and industrial pallets, next to the sport bag, you can find loose loot. On the opposite side there is a technical supply crate, near the mattress and glass wool there are more loose loot spawns. And again some food, ammo and meds spawn next to this weapon crate. Make sure to check the floor next to this dead body for medical spawns, and on this box there are more loose loot spawns. You can see Meth Lab and Stronghold from there, but also old construction area and even dorms. To make this guide complete, let me show you also a weapon crate that is inside the shack. You need portable cabin key of Customs factory zone to open it. Almost done with the expansion area loot. On the ramp you can find technical supply crate. In the railway car there are more loose loot spawns. First one is on the mattress and 2 more on the wooden boxes. Let's also check the hidden cache under the ramp. Last loot spot in this zone. On this big spool you can find some loose loot. Same on this wooden box and on those green boxes, and on the floor you can find some ammo spawns. Now let's move to the old gas station. There is one entrance there, but you can jump over this wall if you want shortcut. When it comes to loot, this is the place called Old Giving Tree, where you can find almost anything. There is also a medbag next to it. In the wall corner you can also find the last new stash. Inside this building on the first table you can find weapons and weapon parts. Same on the table next to it. If you go downstairs there is a PMC extract there. There is also one green crate in front of the gas station building. The last loot spot here is on the back of this blue van. You can find weapon parts on the floor and loose loot on the back of the car. We are next to the shortcut. In those cars you can find some loose loot. In the third one there was also a spawn for Oli Logistic Department office key needed for one of the Ragman's quests. In front of the warehouse you can find weapon crate. Inside on the left there is a power switch you have to turn on for the ZB1013 extraction in the Stronghold I showed you earlier. Sadly there is no loot in this room and in the offices upstairs. In the red container on the box and on the floor you can find weapon parts. There is an underground area here we will explore in a while. In this small room with green glass there is a jacket. On the metal shelves I have found stuff like relays and helix. Same on the wooden shelves on the opposite side. There is no loot in this small office upstairs. On this table you can find weapon parts, and on the shelves in the back more hideout spawns like fuel, electric motors and water filters. In the basement you can find loose loot spawns on all of the industrial pellets, and there is a sport bag here. In the corner you can find weapon box, and on the left and the right of it, on the ground, you can find valuable items like gold chains and horse statues. Next to this covered body you can find many medical spawns. Same for the chair next to the med case. Nothing more underground, let's move to the second part of this warehouse. In front of those 4 barrels I have found fuel. There is also light bulb spawn in front of those 2 motors. Next there is a green wooden crate, and on the floor in front of it there are some spawns for ammo. Upstairs on all the tables you can find weapon parts, and there is a weapon crate under the wall. There are also 2 openings in the green glass on this floor, so you can try to snipe people or scav boss in the Stronghold from there. Second opening is at the end of the warehouse. On the barrel and on the floor you can also find plenty of ammo spawns. Going back on the first floor, near the underground entrance on the wooden box there are loose loot spawns. Inside this small room on the wooden box you can find weapon parts. There is also a weapon crate here. Last place with loot is this box in the corner. You can again find some food spawns on it. In front of this entrance you can find green wooden box. Inside there is a weapon crate on some barrels. I think those shells are new, but no loot on them so far. Next one is a jacket and some nice spawns on the metal shelves. On the right you can find some random stuff like car batteries, valuable items or fuel. On the rest of the shelves I have found stuff like Kiver helmet, sword in headphones, Vogue grenades or weapon parts. On the leftmost one also a wallet. In this small area on the cardboard you can find stuff like condensed milk or fuel conditioners. Moving along on those cardboard boxes on my left there are some loose loot spawns. And the last loot in this warehouse is this weapon crate. Outside in this small hall you can also find hidden cache. We are close to ZB1012 extract. Underground you can find ammo box and dead body you can loot. Going into the warehouse, but first outside on the white plastic chair you can find drinks sometimes. Inside on the right on the wooden shelf there is a spawn for water filters, fuel or silicone tubes. There is another hideout spawn like that on the floor and on the other side of this machinery. In the back of the van there are medical spawns, and on the wooden shelves again hideout spawns. There is one jacket here and loose loot in the blue locker. On this metal shelf you can find tools and medical spawns. This table could spawn near BMP-11 Kilas patch. I have also found here some headsets. Next is the weapon crate, and the last loot spot is in another container on the industrial pallet. You can find their fuel, silicone tubes and water filters. In the railway car is one sport bag and loose loot spawn mattress. Under those blue jeans you can also find 3-story dorms, 220 room quest key. On the parking outside warehouse in the white car trunk is loose loot spawn point. And in the back of the blue van is one of the best spots for flash drive on customs. There are 2 PCs you can find there. There is not much loot in the next warehouse. In the blue locker on the middle shelf there is a spawn for factory exit key. You can also find there some loose loot spawns. Next, on the couch next to the dead scav is spawn for military checkpoint key. There is also a toolbox here and tools spawns on the table. Moving upstairs on the platform there is a green weapon crate there, and there is one more on the second platform in front of us. Next warehouse. We will check the right side first. In the blue locker and on the couch you can often find meds and other loose loot. Metal shelves can have all sorts of loot: weapon parts, meds and tools. There are also some weapon parts spawning in the blue locker on the left. In the next blue locker, in this red pocket, you can find 2-story dorms 110 key. On the opposite side there is locked room that requires USEC stash on customs key. On the table and on the stool you can find some SIGs and weapon parts sometimes. There are also 2 weapon cases and a jacket in here. Outside in the blue locker you can find more weapon parts. There are also second lock doors you can open with USEC stash key. There is a weapon crate there, and on industrial pallets some loose spawns. Next to it you can find green wooden crate, and on the box there are more loose loot spawns. There is a second floor now in this building. Upstairs in the first room you can find loose loot on the metal shelves. In the next room on the bed you can find more loose loot. Make sure to check under the sink for soap and toilet paper. This fashion fellow can have Rolex spawning on his wrist. You can also find valuable items spawning on the floor behind him. In the desk in front you can find hideout items. Nothing spawns on the metal shelves, but in the corner on the mattress and industrial pallet you can find some loose loot. Table with papers spawn weapon parts. Same for this desk and this table. There is also a wooden green crate here, and next to those crates I have found fuel. Then we have tool spawns and more on those 2 metal shelves. In the last room on the couch you can find valuable items sometimes. Then on stool, table and next to the microwave some food spawns. There are also 2 jackets on the wall. There is another small second floor area in this warehouse. On the right on the bench you can find sport bag. On the other door side there is a desk with 2 PCs, and under the desk PC parts spawn, so you can find GPUs there if you are lucky. In the next room there is a sport bag on the chair and a jacket on the wall. On the cabinet you can find weapon parts, and on the smaller one some food. Sadly nothing more in this room. In the bedroom you can find another jacket and soap toilet paper spawns under the sink. Last room, the storage area, there are 2 toolboxes there, and on the shelves you can find additional tool spawns. Next to the medbag you can find fuel, but also on the shelves stuff like water filters, electric motors, etc. Okay, last warehouse you can loot, but first there is a hidden cache close to this big pipe. Moving inside, on the wooden boxes you can find some loose loot. There is also a grenade box on the floor. Next to those barrels you can find some fuel. There's also technical supply crate here and some loose hideout spawns next to it. More fuel spawns next to the 4 barrels. Now moving upstairs, there are 2 jackets on the wall and a green wooden crate on the ground. Next to the crate on the pallet, even more loose loot. Nightstand can spawn valuable items and money. Then you have 2 PC cases and toolbox. There is one more toolbox close by and spawn for bulbs, helix and LCD next to it. It's almost all for factory zone of customs. We are next to the ZB1011 extract. In the bush there is one hidden stash. and one more in the opposite corner. Alright, this one was very time consuming to make. I hope you guys like it, thanks for watching and see you in raids.